Principles and Practices of Management. Unit 4. Decisions, Concepts and Leadership. Q.1. What is directing function of management? Briefly discuss its characteristics. Directing is said to be a process in which the managers instruct, guide and oversee the performance of the workers to achieve predetermined goals. Directing is said to be the heart of management process. Planning, organizing, staffing has got no importance if direction function does not take place. Directing initiates action and it is from here actual work starts. Direction is said to be consisting of human factors. In simple words, it can be described as providing guidance to workers is doing work. In field of management, direction is said to be all those activities which are designed to encourage the subordinates to work effectively and efficiently. According to Human, directing consists of process or technique by which instruction can be issued and operations can be carried out as originally planned. Therefore, directing is the function of guiding, inspiring, overseeing and instructing people towards accomplishment of organizational goals. Direction has got following characteristics. 1. Pervasive function. Directing is required at all levels of organization. Every manager provides guidance and inspiration to his subordinates. 2. Continuous activity. Direction is a continuous activity as it continuous throughout the life of organization. 3. Human factor. Directing function is related to subordinates and therefore it is related to human factor. Since human factor is complex and behavior is unpredictable, direction function becomes important. 4. Creative activity. Direction function helps in converting plans into performance. Without this function, people become inactive and physical resources are meaningless. 5. Executive function. Direction function is carried out by all managers and executives at all levels throughout the working of an enterprise. A subordinate receives instructions from his superior only. 6. Delegate function. Direction is supposed to be a function dealing with human beings. Human behavior is unpredictable by nature and conditioning the people grave accent's behavior towards the goals of the enterprise is what the executive does in this function. Therefore, it is termed as having delicacy in it to tackle human behavior. Q.2. Explain importance of directing as managerial function. Directing or direction function is said to be the heart of management of process and therefore, is the central point around which accomplishment of goals take place. A few philosophers call direction as life spark of an enterprise. It is also called as an actuating function of management because it is through direction that the operation of an enterprise actually starts. Being the central character of enterprise, it provides many benefits to a concern which are as follows. 1. It initiates actions. Directions is the function which is the starting point of the work performance of subordinates. It is from this function the action takes place. Subordinates understand their jobs and do according to the instructions laid. Whatever are plans laid, can be implemented only once the actual work starts. It is there that direction becomes beneficial. 2. It integrates efforts. Through direction, the superiors are able to guide, inspire and instruct the subordinates to work. For this, efforts of every individual towards accomplishment of goals are required. It is through direction the efforts of every department can be related and integrated with others. This can be done through 111. Persuasive leadership and effective communication. Integration of efforts brings effectiveness and stability in a concern. 3. Means of motivation. Direction function helps in achievement of goals. The manager makes use of the element of motivation here to improve the performances of subordinates. This can be done by providing incentives or compensation, whether monetary or non-monetary, which serves as a morale booster to the subordinates. Motivation is also helpful for the subordinates to give the best of their abilities, which ultimately helps in growth. 4. Coping up with the changes. It is a human behavior that human beings show resistance to change. Adaptability with changing environment helps in sustaining planned growth and becoming a market leader. It is directing function which is of use to meet with changes in environment, both internal as external. Effective communication helps in coping up with the changes. It is a role of manager here to communicate the nature and contents of changes very clear light to the subordinates. This helps in clarifications, easy adoptions and smooth running of an enterprise. For example, if a concern shifts from hand looms to power looms, an important change in technique of production takes place. The resulting factors are less of manpower and more of machinery. This can be resisted by the subordinates. The manager here can explain that the change was in the benefit of the subordinates. Through more mechanization, production increases and thereby the profits. Indirectly, the subordinates are benefited out of that in form of higher remuneration. 5. It provides stability. Stability and balance in concern becomes very important for long-term survival in the market. This can be brought upon by the managers with the help of 4 tools: 4 elements of direction function, judicious blend of persuasive leadership, effective communication, strict supervision and efficient motivation. Stability is very important since that is an index of growth of an enterprise. Therefore the manager can use of all the 4 traits in him so that performance standards can be maintained. 112. 6. Efficient utilization of resources. Direction finance helps in clarifying a role of every subordinate towards his work. The resources can be utilized properly only when less of wastages, duplication of efforts, overlapping of performances, etc. Grave accent T take place. Through direction, a role of subordinates become clear as manager makes use of his supervisory, the guidance, the instructions and motivation skill to inspire the subordinates. This helps in maximum possible utilization of resources of men, machine, materials and money, which helps in reducing costs and increasing profits. From the above discussion, one can justify that direction, surely, is the heart of management process. Heart plays an important role in a human body as it serves the function pumping blood to all parts of body which makes the parts function. In a similar manner, direction helps the subordinates to perform in best of their abilities and that in a healthy environment. The manager makes use of the 4 elements of direction. Then here so that work can be accomplished in a proper and right manner. According to Ernest Dale, directing is what has to be done and in what manner through dictating the procedures and policies for accomplishing performance standards. Therefore, it is rightly said that direction is essence of management process. Q.3. What do you mean by supervisor? Explain a role of supervisor. Supervisor has got an important role to play in factory management. Supervision means overseeing the subordinates at work at the factory level. The supervisor is a part of the management team and he holds the designation of first-line managers. He is a person who is to perform many functions which helps in achieving productivity. Therefore, supervisor can be called as the only manager who has an important role at execution level. There are certain philosophers who call supervisors as workers. There are yet some more philosophers who call them as managers. But actually he should be called as a manager or operative manager. His primary job is to manage the workers at operative level of management. 113. A supervisor plays multiplanary role at one time like 1. As a planner, the supervisor has to plan the daily work schedules in the factory. At the same time he is to divide the work to various workers according to their abilities. 2. As a manager, it is right he said that a supervisor is a part of the management team of an enterprise. He is, in fact, an operative manager. 3. As a guide and leader, a factory supervisor leads the workers by guiding them the way of perform their daily tasks. In fact, he plays a role of an inspirer by telling them. 4. As a mediator, the supervisor is called a linking pin between management and workers. He is the spokesperson of management as well as worker. 5. As an inspector, an important role of supervisor is to enforce discipline in the factory. For this, the work includes checking progress of work against the time schedule, recording the work performances at regular intervals and reporting the deviations if any from those. He can also frame rules and regulations which have to be followed by workers during their work. 6. As a counselor, a supervisor plays a role of a counselor to the worker. Grave accent S problem. He has to perform this role in order to build good relations and cooperation from workers. This can be done not only by listening to the grievances but also handling the grievances and satisfying the workers. Therefore, we can say that effective and efficient supervision helps in serving better work performance, building good human relations, creating a congenial and cooperative environment. This all helps in increasing productivity. 114. Q.4. Explain the functions of supervisors. Supervisor, being the manager in the direct contact with the operatives, has got multifarious function to perform. The objective behind performance of these functions is to bring stability and soundness in the organization, which can be secured through increase in profits, which is an end result of higher productivity. Therefore, the supervisor should be concerned with performing the following functions. 1. Planning and organizing. Supervisor grave accent's basic role is to plan the daily work schedule of the workers by guiding them the nature of their work and also dividing the work amongst the workers according to their interests, aptitudes, skills and interests. 2. Provision of working conditions. A supervisor plays an important role in the physical setting of the factory and in arranging the physical resources at right place. This involves providing proper sitting place, ventilation, lighting, water facilities, etc. to workers. His main responsibility is here to provide healthy and hygienic condition to the workers. 3. Leadership and guidance. The supervisor is the leader of workers under him. He leads the workers and influences them to work their best. He also guides the workers by fixing production targets and by providing them instruction and guidelines to achieve those targets. 4. Motivation. A supervisor plays an important role by providing different incentives to workers to perform better. There are different monetary and non-monetary incentives which can inspire the workers to work better. 5. Controlling. Controlling is an important function performed by supervisor. This will involve a recording the actual performance against the time schedule. B. Checking of progress of work. C. Finding out deviations if any and making solutions. 115. D. If not independently solved, reporting it to top management. 6. Linking pin. A supervisor proves to be a linking pin between management and workers. He communicates the policies of management to workers, also passes instructions to them on behalf of management. On the other hand, he has a close contact with the workers and therefore can indirect the problems, complaints, suggestions, etc. to the management. In this way, he communicates workers' problems and brings it to the notice of management. 7. Grievance handling. The supervisor can handle the grievances of the workers effectively. For this he is to do the following things: A. He can be in direct touch with workers. B. By winning the confidence of the workers by solving their problems. C. By taking worker problems on humanitarian grounds. D. If he cannot tackle it independently, he can take the help and advice of management to solve it. 8. Reporting. The supervisor has got an important role to report about the cost, quality and any such output which can be responsible for increasing productivity. Factors like cost, output, performance, quality, etc. can be reported continually to the management. 9. Introducing new work methods. The supervisor here has to be conscious about the environment of market and competition present. Therefore he can innovate the techniques of production. He can shift the workers into fresh schedules whenever possible. He can also try his best to keep on changing and improving to the physical environment around the workers. This will result in a higher productivity, the high morale of workers, C. Satisfying working condition, D. Improving human relations. 116. 116. E. Higher profits, and F. High stability. 10. Enforcing discipline. A discipline in the concern by and instructions, implementing penalties, and supervisor can undertake many steps to maintain regulating checks and measures, strictness in orders, an account of general discipline of factory, punishments for the indisciplined workers. All these above steps help in improving the overall discipline of the factory. Q.5. What is leadership? Explain the characteristics of leadership. Leadership is a process by which an executive can direct, guide and influence the behavior and work of others towards the accomplishment of specific goals in a given situation. Leadership is the ability of a manager to induce the subordinates to work with confidence and zeal. Leadership is the potential to influence behavior of others. It is also defined as the capacity to influence a group towards the realization of a goal. Leaders are required to develop future visions, and to motivate the organizational members to want to achieve the visions. According to Keith Davis, leadership is the ability to persuade others to seek defined objectives enthusiastically. It is the human factor which binds a group together and motivates it towards goals. Characteristics of leadership. 1. It is the interpersonal process in which a manager is into influencing and guiding workers towards attainment of goals. 2. It denotes a few qualities to be present in a person who includes intelligence, maturity and personality. 3. It is a group process. It involves two or more people interacting with each other. 117. 4. The leader is involved in shaping and molding the behavior of the group towards accomplishment of organizational goals. 5. Leadership is situation-bound. There is no best style of leadership. It all depends upon tackling with the situations. Q.6. Discuss importance of leadership. Leadership is an important function of management which helps to maximize efficiency and to achieve organizational goals. The following points justify the importance of leadership in a concern. 1. Initiates action. Leader is a person who starts the work by communicating the policies and plans to the subordinates from where the work actually starts. 2. Motivation. The leader proves to be playing an incentive role in the concern grave accent's working. He motivates the employees with economic and non-economic rewards and thereby gets the work from the subordinates. 3. Providing guidance. The leader has to not only supervise but also play a guiding role for the subordinates. Guidance here means instructing the subordinates the way they have to perform their work effectively and efficiently. 4. Creating confidence. Confidence is an important factor which can be achieved through expressing the work efforts to the subordinates, explaining them clearly their role and giving them guidelines to achieve the goals effectively. It is also important to hear the employees with regards to their complaints and problems. 5. Building morale. Morale denotes willing cooperation of the employees towards their work and getting them into confidence and winning their trust. The leader can be a morale booster by achieving full cooperation so that they perform with best of their abilities as they work to achieve goals. 118. 118. 6. Builds work environment. Management is getting things done from people. An efficient work environment helps in sound and stable growth. Therefore, human relations should be kept in mind by a leader. He should have personal contacts with employees and should listen to their problems and solve them. He should treat employees on humanitarian terms. 7. Coordination. Coordination can be achieved through reconciling personal interests with organizational goals. This synchronization can be achieved through proper and effective coordination, which should be primary motive of a leader. Q.7. What are the roles performed by the leader? Following are the main roles of a leader in an organization. 1. Required at all levels. Leadership is a function which is important at all levels of management. In the top level, it is important for getting cooperation in formulation of plans and policies. In the middle and lower level, it is required for interpretation and execution of plans and programs framed by the top management. Leadership can be exercised through guidance and counseling of the subordinates at the time of execution of plural 2. Representative of the organization. The leader, i.e., the manager, is said to be the representative of the enterprise. He has to represent the concern at seminars, conferences, general meetings, etc. His role is to communicate the rationale of the enterprise to outside public. He is also representative of the own department which he leads. 3. Integrates and reconciles the personal goals with organizational goals. The leader through leadership traits helps in reconciling/integrating the personal goals of the employees with the organizational goals. He is trying to coordinate the efforts of people towards a common purpose and thereby achieve objectives. This can be done only if he can influence and get willing cooperation and urge to accomplish the objectives. 119. 4. He solicits support. The leader is a manager, and besides that he is a person who entertains and invites support and cooperation of subordinates. This he can do by his personality, intelligence, maturity and experience, which can provide him positive result. In this regard, the leader has to invite suggestions and if possible implement them into plans and programs of enterprise. This way, he can solicit full support of employees, which results in willingness to work and thereby effectiveness in running of a concern. 5. As a friend, philosopher and guide, the leader must possess the three-dimensional traits in him. He can be a friend by sharing the feelings, opinions and desires with the employees. He can be a philosopher by utilizing his intelligence and experience and thereby guiding the employees as and when time requires. He can be a guide by supervising and communicating the employees the plans and policies of top management and secure their cooperation to achieve the goals of a concern. At times he can play a role of a counselor by counseling and a problem-solving approach. He can listen to the problems of the employees and try to solve them. Q.8. Discuss qualities of a leader in an organization. The leader has got multidimensional traits in him that makes him appealing and effective in behavior. The following are the requisites to be present in a good leader. 1. Physical appearance. The leader must have a pleasing appearance. Physique and health are very important for a good leader. 2. Vision and foresight. The leader cannot maintain influence unless he exhibits that he is forward-looking. He has to visualize situations and thereby has to frame logical programs. 3. Intelligence. The leader should be intelligent enough to examine problems and difficult situations. He should be analytical who weighs pros and cons and 120. Then summarizes the situation. Therefore, a positive bent of mind and mature outlook is very important. 4. Communicative skills. The leader must be able to communicate the policies and procedures clearly, precisely and effectively. This can be helpful in persuasion and stimulation. 5. Objective. The leader has to be having a fair outlook which is free from bias and which does not reflect his willingness towards a particular individual. He should develop his own opinion and should base his judgment on facts and logic. 6. Knowledge of work. The leader should be very precisely knowing the nature of work of his subordinates because it is then he can win the trust and confidence of his subordinates. 7. Sense of responsibility. Responsibility and accountability towards an individual grave accent S work is very important to bring a sense of influence. The leader must have a sense of responsibility towards organizational goals because only then he can get maximum of capabilities exploited in the real sense. For this, he has to motivate himself and arouse and urge to give best of his abilities. Only then he can motivate the subordinates to the best. 8. Self-confidence and willpower. Confidence in himself is important to earn the confidence of the subordinates. He should be trustworthy and should handle the situations with full willpower. 9. Humanist. This trait to be present in a leader is essential because he deals with human beings and is in personal contact with them. He has to handle the personal problems of his subordinates with great care and attention. Therefore, treating the human beings on humanitarian grounds is essential for building the congenial environment. 10. Empathy. Italy is an adage stepping into the shoes of others. This is very important because fair judgment and objectivity comes only then. The leader should understand the problems and complaints of employees and should also 121. Have a complete view of the needs and aspirations of the employees. This helps in improving human relations and personal contacts with the employees. Q.9. Explain leadership and management, relationship and differences. Leadership and management are the terms that are often considered synonymous. It is essential to understand that leadership is an essential part of effective management. As a crucial component of management, remarkable leadership behavior stresses upon building an environment in which each and every employee develops and excels. Leadership is defined as the potential to influence and drive the group efforts towards the accomplishment of goals. This influence may originate from formal sources, such as that provided by acquisition of managerial position in an organization. The manager must have traits of a leader, i.e., he must possess leadership qualities. Leaders develop and begin strategies that build and sustain competitive advantage. Organizations require robust leadership and robust management for optimal organizational efficiency. Differences between leadership and management. Leadership differs from management in a sense that 1. While managers lay down the structure and delegates authority and responsibility, leaders provide direction by developing the organizational vision and communicating it to the employees and inspiring them to achieve it. 2. While management includes focus on planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling, leadership is mainly a part of directing function of management. Leaders focus on listening, building relationships, teamwork, inspiring, motivating and persuading the followers. 3. While a leader gets his authority from his followers, the manager gets his authority by virtue of his position in the organization. 122. 4. While managers follow the organization grave accent S policies and procedure, the leaders follow their own instinct. 5. Management is more of science as the managers are exact, planned, standard, logical and more of mind. Leadership, on the other hand, is an art. In an organization, If the managers are required, then leaders are a must/essential. 6. While management deals with the technical dimension in an organization or the job content, leadership deals with the people aspect in an organization. 7. While management measures/evaluates people by their name, past records, present performance, leadership sees and evaluates individuals as having potential for things that can be measured, i.e., it deals with future and the performance of people if their potential is fully extracted. 8. If management is reactive, leadership is proactive. 9. Management is based more on written communication, while leadership is based more on verbal communication. Q.10. Explain important leadership styles. All leaders do not possess same attitude, same perspective. As discussed earlier, few leaders adopt the carrot approach and a few adopt the stick approach. Thus, all of the leaders do not get the things done in the same manner. Their style varies. The leadership style varies with the kind of people the leader interacts and deals with. A perfect/standard leadership style is one which assists a leader in getting the best out of the people who follow him. Some of the important leadership styles are as follows. Autocratic leadership style. In this style of leadership, the leader has complete command and hold over their employees/team. The team cannot put forward their views even if they are best for the team *S for organizational interests. They cannot criticize or question the leader *S way. 123. Of getting things done. The leader himself gets the things done. The advantage of this style is that it leads to speedy decision-making and greater productivity under leader *S supervision. Drawbacks of this leadership style are that it leads to greater employee absenteeism and turnover. This leadership style works only when the leader is the best in performing or when the job is monotonous, unskilled and routine in nature, or where the project is short-term and risky. The laissez-faire leadership style. Here, the leader totally trusts their employees/team to perform the job themselves. He just concentrates on the intellectual/rational aspect of his work and does not focus on the management aspect of his work. The team/employees are welcomed to share their views and provide suggestions which are best for organizational interests. This leadership style works only when the employees are skilled, loyal, experienced and intellectual. Democratic/participative leadership style. The leaders invite and encourage the team members to play an important role in decision-making process, though the ultimate decision-making power rests with the leader. The leader guides the employees on what to perform and how to perform, while the employees communicate to the leader their experience and the suggestions if any. The advantages of this leadership style are that it leads to satisfied, motivated and more skilled employees. It leads to an optimistic work environment and also encourages creativity. This leadership style has the only drawback that it is time-consuming. Bureaucratic leadership. Here the leaders strictly adhere to the organizational rules and policies. Also, they make sure that the employees/team also strictly follows the rules and procedures. Promotions take place on the basis of employees' ability to adhere to organizational rules. This leadership style gradually develops over time. This leadership style is more suitable when safe work conditions and quality are required. 124. But this leadership style discourages creativity and does not make employees self-contented. Q.11. Explain the trait theory of leadership and its strengths and limitations. The trait model of leadership is based on the characteristics of many leaders, both successful and unsuccessful, and is used to predict leadership effectiveness. The resulting lists of traits are then compared to those of potential leaders to assess their likelihood of success or failure. Scholars taking the trait approach attempted to identify physiological appearance, height, and weight, demographic age, education and socio-economic background, personality, self-confidence, and aggressiveness, intellective intelligence, decisiveness, judgment, and knowledge, task-related achievement, drive, initiative, and persistence, and social characteristics, sociability and cooperativeness with leader emergence and leader effectiveness. Successful leaders definitely have interests, abilities, and personality traits that are different from those of the less effective leaders. Through many researches conducted in the last 3 decades of the 20th century, a set of core traits of successful leaders have been identified. These traits are not responsible solely to identify whether a person will be a successful leader or not. but they are essentially seen as preconditions that endow people with leadership potential. Among the core traits identified are achievement drive, high level of effort, high levels of ambition, energy and initiative, leadership motivation, an intense desire to lead others to reach shared goals, honesty and integrity, trustworthy, reliable, and open, self-confidence, belief in one grave accent self, ideas, and ability. 125. Cognitive ability, capable of exercising good judgment, strong analytical abilities, and conceptually skilled knowledge of business, knowledge of industry and other technical matters. Emotional maturity, well-adjusted, does not suffer from severe psychological disorders. Others, charisma, creativity and flexibility. Strengths/advantages of trait theory. It is naturally pleasing theory. It is valid as lot of research has validated the foundation and basis of the theory. It serves as a yardstick against which the leadership traits of an individual can be assessed. It gives a detailed knowledge and understanding of the leader element in the leadership process. Limitations of the trait theory. There is bound to be some subjective judgment in determining who is regarded as a good grave accent or successful grave accent leader. The list of possible traits tends to be very long. More than 100 different traits of successful leaders in various leadership positions have been identified. These descriptions are simply generalities. There is also a disagreement over which traits are the most important for an effective leader. The model attempts to relate physical traits such as height and weight to effective leadership. Most of these factors relate to situational factors. For 126. Example, a minimum weight and height might be necessary to perform the task sufficiently in the military leadership position. In business organizations, these are not the requirements to be an effective leader. The theory is very complex. Q12. Write short note on behavioral theories. Behavioral theories of leadership do not seek inborn traits or capabilities. Rather, they look at what leaders actually do. If success can be defined in terms of describable actions, then it should be relatively easy for other people to act in the same way. This is easier to teach and learn than to adopt the more ephemeral traits or capabilities. Assumptions leaders can be made, rather than are born. Successful leadership is based in definable, learnable behavior. Discussion behavioral is a big leap from trait theory, in that it assumes that leadership capability can be learned, rather than being inherent. This opens the floodgates to leadership development, as opposed to simple psychometric assessment that sorts those with leadership potential from those who will never have the chance. A behavioral theory is relatively easy to develop, as you simply assess both leadership success and the actions of leaders. With a large enough study, you can then correlate statistically significant behaviors with success. You can also identify behaviors which contribute to failure, thus adding a second layer of understanding. Q.13. Write short note on role theory. We all have internal schemas about a role of leaders, based on what we read, discuss and so on. We subtly send these expectations to our leaders, acting as 127 role centers. For example, through the balance of decisions we take upon ourselves and the decisions we leave to the leader. Leaders are influenced by these signals, particularly if they are sensitive to the people around them, and will generally conform to these, playing the leadership role that is put upon them by others. Within organizations, there is much formal and informal information about what the leader's role should be, including leadership values, culture, training sessions, modeling by senior managers, and so on. These and more, including contextual factors, act to shape expectations and behaviors around leadership. Role conflict can also occur when people have differing expectations of their leaders. It also happens when leaders have different ideas about what they should be doing versus the expectations that are put upon them. Assumptions. People define roles for themselves and others based on social learning and reading. People form expectations about the roles that they and others will play. Subtly encourage others to act within a role expectations they have for them. People will act within the roles they adopt. Q.14. Write short note on managerial grid. Leaders may be concerned for their people and they must also have some concern for the work to be done. The question is, how much attention do they pay to one or the other? This is a model defined by Blake and Mouton in the early 1960s. 128. Hi. Country club management. Middle of the team management. Concerned people. 4. Medium. Road management. Low. Impoverished management. Low. Medium. Authority compliance. High. Concern for production task. Impoverished management. Minimum effort to get the work done. A basically lazy approach that avoids as much work as possible. Authority compliance. Strong focus on task, but with little concern for people. Focus on efficiency, including the elimination of people wherever possible. Country club management. Care and concern for the people, with a comfortable and friendly environment and collegial style. But a low focus on task may give questionable results. Middle of the road management. A weak balance of focus on both people and the work. Doing enough to get things done, but not pushing the boundaries of what may be possible. Team management. Firing on all cylinders. People are committed to task and leader is committed to people as well as task. 129. The managerial grid was the original name. It later changed to the leadership grid. Q.15. What is coordination? Discuss its importance in business enterprises. Coordination is the unification, integration, synchronization of the efforts of group members so as to provide unity of action in the pursuit of common goals. It is a hidden force which binds all the other functions of management. According to Mooney and Realty, coordination is orderly arrangement of group efforts to provide unity of action in the pursuit of common goals. According to Charles Worth, coordination is the integration of several parts into an orderly whole to achieve the purpose of understanding. Management seeks to achieve coordination through its basic functions of planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. That is why coordination is not a separate function of management, because achieving of harmony between individuals' efforts towards the achievement of group goals is a key to success of management. Coordination is the essence of management and is implicit and inherent in all functions of management. The manager can be compared to an orchestra conductor since both of them have to create rhythm and unity in the activities of group members. Coordination is an integral element or ingredient of all the managerial functions as discussed below. Coordination through planning. Planning facilitates coordination by integrating the various plans through mutual discussion, exchange of ideas. E.g., coordination between finance budget and purchases budget. B. Coordination through organizing. Mooney considers coordination as the very essence of organizing. In fact, when a manager groups and assigns various activities to subordinates, and when he creates department grave accent S coordination uppermost in his mind. 130. 130. C. Coordination through staffing. The manager should bear in mind that the right number of personnel in various positions with right type of education and skills are taken, which will ensure right men on the right job. D. Coordination through directing. The purpose of giving orders, instructions and guidance to the subordinates is served only when there is a harmony between superiors and subordinates. E. Coordination through controlling. Manager ensures that there should be coordination between actual performance and standard performance to achieve organizational goals. From above discussion, we can very much affirm that coordination is the very much essence of management. It is required in each and every function and at each and every stage, and therefore it cannot be separated. Q.16. Distinguish between coordination and cooperation. Coordination is an orderly arrangement of efforts to provide unity of action in the fulfillment of common objective, whereas cooperation denotes collective efforts of persons working in an enterprise voluntarily for the achievement of a particular purpose. It is the willingness of individuals to help each other. Coordination is an effort to integrate effectively energies of different groups, whereas cooperation is sought to achieve general objectives of business. Though these two are synonymous, but they are different as below. Differences between coordination and cooperation. Basis meaning coordination. It is an orderly arrangement of group efforts in pursuit of cooperation. It means mutual help willingly. 131. Common goals. Scope. It is broader than cooperation, which includes as well because it harmonizes the group efforts. It is termed as a part of coordination. Process. The function of coordination is performed by top management. The functions of cooperation are prepared by persons at any level. Requirements. Coordination is required by employees and departments at work irrespective of their work. Cooperation is emotional in nature because it depends on the willingness of people working together. Relationship. That establishes formal-informal relationships. And that establishes informal relationship. Freedom. It is planned and entrusted by the central authority, and it is essential. It depends upon the sweet will of the individuals, and therefore it is not necessary. Support. It seeks wholehearted support from various people working at various levels. Cooperation without coordination is fruitless, and therefore it may lead to unbalanced developments. Therefore, existence of cooperation may prove to be effective condition or requisite for coordination. But it does not mean that coordination originates automatically from the voluntary efforts of the group of members. It has to be achieved through conscious and deliberate efforts of managers. Therefore, 132. Conclude, we can say that cooperation without coordination has no fruit, and coordination without cooperation has no root. 133. Unit V. Controlling. Q.1. What do you mean by controlling? Explain the features of controlling. Controlling consists of verifying whether everything occurs in conformities with the plans adopted, instructions issued, and principles established. Controlling ensures that there is effective and efficient utilization of organizational resources so as to achieve the planned goals. Controlling measures the deviation of actual performance from the standard performance, discovers the causes of such deviations, and helps in taking corrective actions according to Brecht. Controlling is a systematic exercise which is called as a process of checking actual performance against the standards or plans with a view to ensure adequate progress, and also recording such experience as is gained as a contribution to possible future needs. According to Donnell, just as a navigator continually takes reading to ensure whether he is relative to a planned action, so should a business manager continually take reading to assure himself that his enterprise is on right course. Controlling has got two basic purposes. 1. It facilitates coordination. 2. It helps in planning. Features of controlling function. Following are the characteristics of controlling function of management. 1. Controlling is an end function, a function which comes once the performances are made in conformities with plural. 134. 2. Controlling is a pervasive function, which means it is performed by managers at all levels and in all type of concerns. 3. Controlling is forward-looking, because effective control is not possible without past being controlled. Controlling always looks to future so that follow-up can be made whenever required. 4. Controlling is a dynamic process. Since controlling requires taking review methods, changes have to be made wherever possible. 5. Controlling is related with planning. Planning and controlling are two inseparable functions of management. Without planning, controlling is a meaningless exercise, and without controlling, planning is useless. Planning presupposes controlling, and controlling succeeds planning. Q.2. Explain the controlling process. Controlling as a management function involves following steps. 1. Establishment of standards. Standards are the plans or the targets which have to be achieved in the course of business function. They can also be called as the criterions for judging the performance. Standards generally are classified into total, measurable or tangible. Those standards which can be measured and expressed are called as measurable standards. They can be in form of cost, output, expenditure, time, profit, etc. Be non-measurable or intangible. There are standards which cannot be measured monetarily. For example, performance of the manager, deviation of workers, their attitudes towards a concern. These are called as intangible standards. Controlling becomes easy through establishment of these standards because controlling is exercised on the basis of these standards. 135. 2. Measurement of performance. The second major step in controlling is to measure the performance. Finding out deviations becomes easy through measuring the actual performance. Performance levels are sometimes easy to measure and sometimes difficult. Measurement of tangible standards is easy as it can be expressed in units, cost, money terms, etc. Quantitative measurement becomes difficult when performance of manager has to be measured. Performance of the manager cannot be measured in quantities. It can be measured only by a. The attitude of the workers, b. their morale to work, c. the development in the attitudes regarding the physical environment, and d. their communication with the superiors. It is also sometimes done through various reports like weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly reports. 3. Comparison of actual and standard performance. Comparison of actual performance with the planned targets is very important. Deviation can be defined as the gap between actual performance and the planned targets. The manager has to find out two things here. Extent of deviation and cause of deviation. Extent of deviation means that the manager has to find out whether the deviation is positive or negative, or whether the actual performance is in conformity with the planned performance. The managers have to exercise control by exception. He has to find out those deviations which are critical and important for business. Minor deviations have to be ignored. Major deviations like replacement of machinery, appointment of workers, quality of raw material, rate of profits, etc. should be looked upon consciously. Therefore it is said, if a manager controls everything, he ends up controlling nothing. For example, if stationery charges increase by 136 minor 5 to 10%, it can be called as a minor deviation. On the other hand, if monthly production decreases continuously, it is called as major deviation. Once the deviation is identified, the manager has to think about various causes which has led to deviation. The causes can be A. Erroneous planning, B. Coordination loosens, C. Implementation of plans is defective, and D. Supervision and communication is ineffective, etc. 4. Taking remedial actions. Once the causes and extent of deviations are known, the manager has to detect those errors and take remedial measures for it. There are two alternatives here: A. Taking corrective measures for deviations which have occurred, and B. After taking the corrective measures, if the actual performance is not in conformity with plans, the manager can revise the targets. It is here the controlling process comes to an end. Follow-up is an important step because it is only through taking corrective measures the manager can exercise controlling. Q.3. Explain relation between planning and controlling. Planning and controlling are two separate functions of management, yet they are closely related. The scope of activities of both is overlapping to each other. Without the basis of planning, controlling activities becomes baseless, and without controlling, planning becomes a meaningless exercise. In absence of controlling, no purpose can be served by. Therefore, planning and controlling reinforce each other. According to Beligotes, relationship between the two can be summarized in the following points. 1. Planning precedes controlling and controlling succeeds planning. 137. 2. Planning and controlling are inseparable functions of management. 3. Activities are put on rails by planning and they are kept at right place through controlling. 4. The process of planning and controlling works on systems approach, which is as follows. Planning results corrective action. Planning and controlling are integral parts of an organization as both are important for smooth running of an enterprise. 5. Planning and controlling reinforce each other. Each drives the other function of management. In the present dynamic environment which affects the organization, the strong relationship between the two is very critical and important. In the present day environment, it is quite likely that planning fails due to some unforeseen events. Their controlling comes to a rescue. Once controlling is done effectively, it gives us stimulus to make better plural. Therefore, planning and controlling are separate functions of a business enterprise. Q.4. Define span of control. Explain the factors that may affect span of control. Span of control or span of management is a dimension of organizational design measured by the number of subordinates that report directly to a given manager. This concept affects organization design in a variety of ways, including speed of communication flow, employee motivation, reporting relationships, and administrative overhead. Span of management has been part of the historical discussion regarding the most appropriate design and structure of organizations. Factors that may affect span of control. While early discussions of span of control often centered on pinpointing the optimal number of subordinates, the number of factors may influence the span of 138. Control most appropriate for a given management position. Assuming that all other aspects of the manager's job are the same, these factors would likely alter the span of management as follows. 1. Job complexity. Subordinate jobs that are complex, ambiguous, dynamic or otherwise complicated will likely require more management involvement and a narrower span of management. 2. Similarity of subordinate jobs. The more similar and routine the tasks that subordinates are performing, the easier it is for a manager to supervise employees and the wider the span of management that will likely be effective. 3. Physical proximity of subordinates. The more geographically dispersed a group of subordinates, the more difficult it is for a manager to be in regular contact with them, and the fewer employees a manager could reasonably oversee, resulting in a narrower span of management. 4. Abilities of employees. Managers who supervise employees that lack ability, motivation, or confidence will have to spend more time with each employee. The result will be that the manager cannot supervise as many employees and would be most effective with a narrower span of management. 5. Abilities of the manager. Some managers are better organized, better at explaining things to subordinates, and more efficient in performing their jobs. Such managers can function effectively with a wider span of management than a less skilled manager. 6. Technology. Cell phones, email, and other forms of technology that facilitate communication and the exchange of information make it possible for managers to increase their spans of management over managers who do not have access to or who are unable to use the technology. The trend in recent years has been to move toward wider spans of control to reduce costs, speed decision-making, increase flexibility, and empower employees. 139. However, to avoid potential problems of wide spans of control, organizations are having to invest in training managers and employees and in technology enabling the sharing of information and enhancing communication between and among managers and employees. 140. 140. Roll number underscore 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 1M 6101 MBA main and back examination, January 2011 meters 101. Time 3 hours. Total marks 70 minutes. Passing marks 28. The question paper is divided into sections. There are sections A and B. Section A contains 6 questions, out of which the candidate is required to attempt any 4 questions. Section B contains short case study / application base 1 question, which is compulsory. All questions are carrying equal marks. Use of following supporting material is permitted during examination. Mentioned in form number 205. 1. Nil. Section 8. 2. Nil. 1. Discuss a role of various approaches of management in management theory. Which approach do you think adequately clears the nature of management? 141. Approaches of management. 1. Empirical approach. 2. Human behavior approach. 3. Social system approach. 4. Decision theory approach. 5. Mathematical approach. 6. Socio-technical systems approach. 7. Systems approach. 8. Contingency approach. 9. Operational approach. 1. Human behavior approach. Organization as people. A. Interpersonal behavior approach. INDIVIDUAL psychology. B. Group behavior approach. ORGANISATION behavior features. Draws heavily from psychology and sociology. Understand human relations. Emphasis on greater productivity through motivation and good human relations. Motivation, leadership, participative management and group dynamics are core of this approach. 2. Empirical approach. Study of managerial experiences and cases. MGD contributors, Ernest Dale, Mooney and Riley, Borwick. Features, study of managerial experiences. Managerial experience passed from participation to students for continuity in knowledge management. Study of successful and failure cases help practicing managers. Theoretical research combined with practical experiences. Uses, learning through experience of others. 142. 142. Limitations, no contribution for the development of management as a discipline, situations of past not the same as present. 3. 1. 2. 3. Social system approach. Understanding the behavior of groups and individuals. Features. Social system. The system of cultural relationship exists between external and internal environment of the organization. Formal organization. Cultural relationships of social groups working within the organization. 4. Cooperation necessary. 5. Efforts directed HARMONY between goals of organization and goals of groups. 4. Socio-TDCHNICAL systems approach. Features. Social and technical systems interact. This interaction is important for organizational effectiveness. Organization governed by social laws as well as psychological forces. Technical aspects of organization modified by the social aspects. Contributors. Interest, Bamforth, Emma 3 etc. Uses. Organizational effectiveness depends on looking at people and their interactions and also at the technical environment in which they operate. Change in technology. Change in social interactions at workplace. 143. 2. Write short notes on any 4A social responsibility of business. B. Span of management. C. Decision making. D. Coordination. D. Direction. F. Span of control. A. Social responsibility. Social responsibility is an ethical ideology or theory that an entity, be it an organization or individual, has an obligation to act to benefit society at large. Social responsibility is a duty every individual or organization has to perform so as to maintain a balance between the economy and the ecosystem. The trade-off always exists between economic development, in the material sense, and the welfare of the society and environment. Social responsibility means sustaining the equilibrium between the two. It pertains not only to business organizations but also to everyone whose any action impacts the environment. This responsibility can be passive, by avoiding engaging in socially harmful acts, or active, by performing activities that directly advance social goals. B. Coordination provides the following benefits. 1. Higher efficiency and economy. Coordination helps to improve the efficiency of operations by avoiding overlapping efforts and duplication of work. Integration and balancing of individual efforts provide a smooth and harmonious teamwork. 2. Good human relations. Besides promoting the efficiency of operations, coordination improves the morale and job satisfaction of employees. Composite and orderly effort established through team spirit and executive leadership enables employees to derive a sense of security and personal contentment from their job. 144. 144. 3. Unity of direction. Coordination helps to ensure unity of action in the face of disruptive forces. By welding together different departments and sections into one entity, coordination ensures the stability and growth of an organization. It enables the executives to see the enterprise as a whole instead of narrow sectional goals. Individual interests are subordinated to the common interest more easily and effectively. 4. Quintessence of management. Coordination is an all-inclusive concept for the end result of the management process. Management is nothing more than coordination of all activities, efforts and forces that affect the organization from within and without. Coordination serves as a key to all managerial functions. 5. Organizational effectiveness. Coordination fosters loyalty and commitment among employees. This enhances the effectiveness and stability of the organization. According to McFarland, if job satisfactions are present, executives will tend to remain longer with the company. They will feel that they have a place in the organization. 3. Planning is an intellectual process, the conscious determination of course of action, the basing of decisions on purpose, facts and considered estimates. Discuss the statement what steps are involved in planning process. The various stages in the process of planning are as follows. 1. Goal setting. Plans are the means to achieve certain ends or objectives. Therefore, establishment of organizational or overall objectives is the first step in planning. 145. Setting objectives is the most crucial part of planning. The organizational objectives should be set in key areas of operations. They should be verifiable, i.e., they should as far as possible be specified in clear and measurable terms. The objectives are set in the light of the opportunities perceived by managers. Establishment of goals is influenced by the values and beliefs of executives, mission of the organization, organizational resources, etc. Objectives provide the guidelines what to do for the preparation of strategic and procedural plural. One cannot make plans unless one knows what is to be accomplished. Objectives constitute the mission of an organization. They set the pattern of future course of action. The objectives must be clear, specific and informative. Major objectives should be broken into departmental, sectional and individual objectives. In order to set realistic objectives, planners must be fully aware of the opportunities and problems that the enterprise is likely to face. 2. Developing planning premises. Before plans are prepared, the assumptions and conditions underlying them must be clearly defined. These assumptions are called planning premises and they can be identified through accurate forecasting of likely future events. They are forecast data of a factual nature. Assessment of environment helps to reveal opportunities and constraints. Analysis of internal controllable and external uncontrollable forces is essential for sound planning. Premises are the critical factors which lay down the boundary for planning. They are vital to the success of planning as they supply pertinent facts about future. They need revision with changes in the situation. Contingent plans may be prepared for alternate situations. 3. Reviewing limitations. In practice, several constraints or limitations affect the ability of an organization to achieve its objectives. These limitations restrict the smooth operation of plans and they must be anticipated and provided for. 146. 146. The key areas of limitations are finance, human resources, materials, power and machinery. The strong and weak points of the enterprise should be correctly assessed. 4. Deciding the planning period. Once the broad goals, planning premises and limitations are laid down, the next step is to decide the period of planning. The planning period should be long enough to permit the fulfillment of the commitments involved in a decision. This is known as the principle of commitment. The planning period depends on several factors, e.g., future that can be reasonably anticipated, time required to receive capital investments, expected future availability of raw materials, lead time in development and commercialization of a new product, etc. 5. Formulation of policies and strategies. After the goals are defined and planning premises are identified, management can formulate policies and strategies for the accomplishment of desired results. The responsibility for laying down policies and strategies lies usually with management. But the subordinates should be consulted as they are to implement the policies and strategies. Alternative plans of action should be developed and evaluated carefully so as to select the most appropriate policy for the organization. Imagination, foresight, experience and quantitative techniques are very useful in the development and evaluation of alternatives. Available alternatives should be evaluated in the light of objectives and planning premises. If the evaluation shows that more than one alternative is equally good, the various alternatives may be combined in action. 6. Preparing operating plans. After the formulation of overall operating plans, the derivative or supporting plans are prepared. Several medium-range and short-range plans are required to implement policies and strategies. These plans consist of procedures, programmers, schedules, budgets and rules. Such plans are required for the implementation of basic plural. 147. Operational plans reflect commitments as to methods, time, money, etc. These plans are helpful in the implementation of long-range plural along with the supporting plans. The timing and sequence of activities is determined to ensure continuity in operations. 7. Integration of plans. Different plans must be properly balanced so that they support one another. Review and revision may be necessary before the plan is put into operation. Moreover, the various plans must be communicated and explained to those responsible for putting them into practice. The participation and cooperation of subordinates is necessary for successful implementation of plural. Established plans should be reviewed periodically so as to modify and change them whenever necessary. The system of continuous evaluation and appraisal of plans should be devised to identify any shortcomings or pitfalls of the plans under changing situations. 4. What is departmentation? Describe the various bases of departmentation. What scheme of departmentation you will suggest for a large marketing organization operating all over the country and why? The process of grouping of activities into units for the purpose of administration is called departmentation. It can be defined as the process by which activities or functions of enterprise are grouped homogeneously into different groups. The collection company department is a subset of organization. An element of company department is a major suborganization of a business, government, or academic organization. An element of company department is part of the organization to which it belongs, not a separate legal entity such as a partly or wholly owned subsidiary company, and it performs some of the activity of that organization. In the collection company department includes generically what may be called a division, department, office, bureau, ministry, etc., within an actual organization. 148. 148. Finance Department, Human Resources Department, Agriculture Department, Public Relations Department, Internal Control Department. 5. What are the various theories of leadership? Which theory seems to justify the leadership in democratic countries like India? Give reasons for the answer. Theories of leadership. Leadership styles focus on the behavior pattern exhibited by a leader during supervision of the subordinates. On the other hand, who will emerge an effective leader? Or how effective the leadership style will be? Such questions are answered by leadership theories. Simply stated, theories focus on various approaches to successful leadership. The theories of leadership may be classified into three categories: trait theories, behavioral theories, and situational theories. 1. Traitist leadership theory. A&S. In its early stage, this theory was called Great Man theory of leadership, which says that leaders are born and not made. Ancient people thought that certain natural qualities of leadership exist in a person. Ultimately, the Great Man theory gave way to a more real theory, the trait approach. Trait theory views leadership as a conglomerate or a large set of different traits or qualities. The Great Man theory believed that traits were inherited, whereas trait theory holds that traits are not always inborn but can be acquired through education, training and experience. Trait theory holds that leadership is largely a matter of personality, a function of specific traits. It suggests that there are certain unique qualities or traits clearly identifiable in leaders. The greater the degree of such traits possessed by a person, the better and more successful will be proved as a leader. It further suggests that leaders differ from followers with respect to certain key traits, and these traits remain unchanged across time. The trait theory attempts to isolate the attributes of successful and unsuccessful leader and using 149 such a list of traits, it predicts the success or failure of persons as leaders. It is to be noted that these traits are not measurable. Various thinkers have differed on the package of traits. Many studies of traits have been made. Ralph Stockdill found 1974 that various researchers have identified specific traits related to leadership ability as follows. A. Physical traits, 5 in all, such as energy, appearance and height. B. Intelligence and ability traits, 4 in all, such as high level of intelligence and judgment. C. Personality traits, 16 in all, such adaptability, aggressiveness, enthusiasm and self-confidence. D. Task-related characteristics, 6 in all, such as achievement drive, persistence and initiative. E. Social characteristics, 9 in all, such as cooperativeness, interpersonal skills and administrative ability. It may be noted that the discussion of the importance of traits still goes on. More recently, 1991, Shelley Kirkpatrick and Edwin Locke have identified the following key leadership traits. I. Drive, including achievement, motivation, energy, ambition, initiative and tenacity, i.e. firmness. I. Leadership motivation, the aspiration to lead but not to seek power as such. I. Self-confidence, including emotional stability. IB. Cognitive ability, the ability of knowing, including consciousness of things and judgment about them. 150. 150. V. An understanding of the business according to them. Less clear is the impact of creativity, flexibility and charisma, i.e. strong personal charm to attract and influence on the leadership effectiveness. In general, the study of leaders' traits has not been a very fruitful approach to explaining effectiveness of leadership. Not all leaders possess all the traits, and many followers, non-leaders, may possess most or all of them. Further, the trait theory does not indicate as to how much of any trait a person should have to be an effective leader. Also, most of these so-called traits are really patterns of behavior. Furthermore, the list of traits is not uniform. Effective leadership is not a function of some traits only. Situation also plays an important role in making someone a successful leader. 2. Behavioral theories of leadership. Dissatisfaction with the results of the trait approach has caused a significant change in the emphasis of leadership research, and the focus shifted in the actual behavior and actions of leaders from the traits or characteristics of leaders. Thus, behavioral theories attempt to describe leadership in terms of what leaders do rather than what they are. According to behavioral approach, leadership is the result of effective role behavior. This approach holds that an effective leader is one who performs these acts which help the group to attain its goals. The most popular models of leadership based on the behavioral approach may briefly be discussed as follows. Likert, grave accent S for systems of management. Rensis Likert has studied the patterns and styles of leaders and manager for 3 decades. 1961. He has developed a continuum of our systems of management or leadership styles as follows. A System 1 management. It is described as exploitative authoritative. Its managers are higher autocratic, have little trust in subordinates and motivate people through fear and punishment and only occasionally reward. They engage in downward communication and limit decision-making to themselves. B System 2 management. It is called benevolent, authoritative. Its managers have a patronizing confidence and trust in subordinates. They motivate with rewards and some fear and punishment. They permit some upward communication and solicit some ideas. 151. And opinions from subordinates. They allow some delegation of decision-making but with close policy control. See System 3 management. It is referred to as consultative. Its managers have substantial but not complete confidence and trust in subordinates. They usually try to make use of subordinates' ideas and opinions. They use reward for motivation with occasional punishment and some participation. Q6. A. Planning is the basis. Delegation is the key. Information is the guide and action is the essence of control. Discuss. B. Discuss the various techniques of control. Section B6. Read the case carefully and answer the following questions. Like most steel companies, Bangalore Alloy Steel suffered difficult times in the decade of 1990s. In a company-wide attitude survey, in 1995, it was found that the number of frustrated middle managers felt that the company's unattractive pay structure caused low employee morale. The chief executive officer of the company, Dinesh, was not impressed by the survey report and didn't care for the opinion of middle managers. As a result, the executives were disillusioned. Dinesh had been a financial specialist, and the board of directors assigned him the top job because though this financial experience could improve the financial situation of the company. At first, the move seemed a good one. Dinesh used his financial know-how to arrange creative financing for the company's debt, but that did not solve other serious problems. Dinesh was a numbers man with few people skills and he proved to be a poor planner. He tried to diversify and reorganize the structure which was not comfortable with face-to-face communications and he issued periodic memos exhorting employees to increase productivity. All 152 employees, including both blue-collar and white-collar employees, blamed Dinesh for the heavy losses of the company. Top management kept middle management at a distance and became isolated and ineffective. A. B. C. Which of the management functions does Dinesh perform well? Which of the management functions does he perform unsatisfactory? What do you think should be the role of middle management in this situation? D. What do you think Dinesh should have done? A. Planning. It is the basic function of management. It deals with chalking out a future course of action and deciding in advance the most appropriate course of action for achievement of predetermined goals. According to Kuhns, planning is deciding in advance what to do, when to do and how to do. It bridges the gap from where we are and where we want to be. The plan is a future course of actions. It is an exercise in problem solving and decision making. Planning is determination of courses of action to achieve desired goals. Thus, planning is a systematic thinking about ways and means for accomplishment of predetermined goals. Planning is necessary to ensure proper utilization of human and non-human resources. It is all-pervasive. It is an intellectual activity and it also helps in avoiding confusion, uncertainties, risks, wastages, etc. Organizing. It is the process of bringing together physical, financial and human resources and developing productive relationship amongst them for achievement of organizational goals. According to Henry K. Odell, to organize a business is to provide it with everything useful for its functioning, i.e. raw material, tools, capital and personnel. Grave accent S. To organize a business involves determining and providing human and non-human resources to the organizational structure. Organizing as a process involves identification of activities, classification of grouping of activities. 153. Assignment of duties, delegation of authority and creation of responsibility. Coordinating authority and responsibility relationships. Staffing. It is the function of manning the organization structure and keeping in mind. Staffing has assumed greater importance in the recent years due to advancement of technology, increase in size of business, complexity of human behavior, etc. The main purpose of staffing is to put right man on right job, i.e. square pegs in square holes and round pegs in round holes. According to Cults and O'Grave accent Donnell, Managerial function of staffing involves manning the organization structure through proper and effective selection, appraisal and development of personnel to fill the roles designed on the structure. Staffing involves manpower planning, estimating manpower in terms of searching, choose the person and giving the right place. Recruitment, selection and placement. Training and development. Remuneration. Performance appraisal. Promotions and transfer. Directing. It is that part of managerial function which actuates the organizational methods to work efficiently for achievement of organizational purposes. It is considered life spark of the enterprise which sets it in motion the action of people because planning, organizing and staffing are the mere preparations for doing the work. Direction is that inner personnel aspect of management which deals directly with influencing, guiding, supervising, motivating subordinate for the achievement of organizational goals. Direction has following elements: supervision, motivation, leadership. Communication. Supervision implies overseeing the work of subordinates by their superiors. It is the act of watching and directing work and workers. 154. 154. Motivation means inspiring, stimulating or encouraging the subordinates with zeal to work. Positive, negative, monetary, non-monetary incentives may be used for this purpose. Leadership may be defined as a process by which manager guides and influences the work of subordinates in desired direction. Communications is the process of passing information, experience, opinion, etc. from one person to another. It is a bridge of understanding. Controlling. It implies measurement of accomplishment against the standards and correction of deviation if any to ensure achievement of organizational goals. The purpose of controlling is to ensure that everything occurs in conformities with the standards. An efficient system of control helps to predict deviations before they actually occur. According to Theo Hyman, controlling is the process of checking whether or not proper progress is being made towards the objectives and goals and acting if necessary to correct any deviation. According to Kuntz and O'Grave accent Bonnell, controlling is the measurement and correction of performance activities of subordinates in order to make sure that the enterprise objectives and plans desired to obtain them as being accomplished. Therefore, controlling has following steps. A and S. B. Controlling. Controlling is the function that the NERSH fails to execute. It implies measurement of accomplishment against the standards and correction of deviation if any to ensure achievement of organizational goals. The purpose of controlling is to ensure that everything occurs in conformities with the standards. An efficient system of control helps to predict deviations before they actually occur. According to Theo Hyman, controlling is the process of checking whether or not proper progress is being made towards the objectives and goals and acting if necessary to correct any deviation. 155. Roll number underscore 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 1 6101 BASEM.II main and back examination, February 2010. Time 3 hours. Max marks. 70 minimum passing marks. 28. Instructions to candidates. The question paper is divided into 2 sections. Section A contains 6 questions out of which the candidate is required to attempt any 4 questions. Section B contains short case study/application based 1 question which is compulsory. All questions carry equal marks. Section The 1. To effectively cope with the demands of diversifying and expanding responsibilities. As a manager moves up in hierarchy of the managerial positions, the manager needs to update his skills to do justice with the changing roles in an organizational setup. Elaborate this statement and briefly discuss the underlying concepts with examples. 1. 2. Responsibilities and roles of the manager. Supervise and manage the overall performance of staff in the department. 156. 156. 3. Analyzing, reporting, giving recommendations and developing strategies on how to improve quality and quantity. 4. Achieve business and organization goals, visions and objectives. 5. Involved in employee selection, career development, succession planning and periodic training. 6. Working out compensations and rewards. 7. Responsible for the growth and increase in the organization's finances and earnings. 8. Identifying problems, creating choices and providing alternatives courses of actions. Q2. Differentiate between individual and group decision making. Briefly discuss how the barriers to effective decision making can be overcome. 7+7. Q3. What are the elements, problems and prerequisites of effective delegation? Discuss with suitable example. 4+5+5. A and S. Problems in delegation. Many managers always have a dilemma while they decide which job is to be delegated to subordinates and which should be done on their own. Yes, this is true. According to a survey, around 90% of managers deal with this problem on a regular basis. Delegation of a job to a subordinate means to give him all the powers of decision-making related to critical situations on the job. Delegation of jobs is a very common practice when departments are huge in size or projects are executed across departments or different locations. I do not know where the 157 problem arises, but most of the people do not like sharing decision-making powers. Here are a few reasons for this. 1, 2, 3. Boss may be really insecure and possessive of his position. Boss may not have trust on the capabilities of the subordinate. Sometimes jobs are so critical that it is best that the job is done by a more experienced person. Elements of delegation. Mainly there are 3 elements of delegation. They are 1. Assignment of task or duties. 2. Conferment of powers or authority. 3. Creation of obligation, responsibility or accountability. Prerequisites delegation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The person to whom the authority is to be given is well aware of the task he should perform. The person must be trustworthy. He must be having relevant experience. The superior should not feel the fear of competition. The subordinate must concern him before taking the decision to avoid errors or wrong decisions. 158. 158. Q4. Define leadership. Management. Explain the importance of leadership. Leadership has been described as a process of social influence in which one person can enlist the aid and support of others in the accomplishment of a common task. Leadership is an important function of management which helps to maximize efficiency and to achieve organizational goals. The following points justify the importance of leadership in a concern. 1. Initiates action. Leader is a person who starts the work by communicating the policies and plans to the subordinates from where the work actually starts. 2. Motivation. The leader proves to be playing an incentive role in the concern. Working. He motivates the employees with economic and non-economic rewards and thereby gets the work from the subordinates. 3. Providing guidance. The leader has to not only supervise but also play a guiding role for the subordinates. Guidance here means instructing the subordinates the way they have to perform their work effectively and efficiently. 4. Creating confidence. Confidence is an important factor which can be achieved through expressing the work efforts to the subordinates, explaining them clearly their role and giving them guidelines to achieve the goals effectively. It is also important to hear the employees with regards to their complaints and problems. 5. Building morale. Morale denotes willing cooperation of the employees towards their work and getting them into confidence and winning their trust. The leader can be a morale booster by achieving full cooperation so that they perform with best of their abilities as they work to achieve goals. 6. Builds work environment. Management is getting things done from people. An efficient work environment helps in sound and stable growth. Therefore, human relations should be kept in mind by a leader. He should have personal contacts with employees and should listen to their problems and solve them. He should treat employees on humanitarian terms. 7. Coordination. Coordination can be achieved through reconciling personal interests with organizational goals. This synchronization can be achieved through proper and effective coordination, which should be primary motive of a leader. 159. Q5. What managerial skills are required at different levels of management and why? Briefly discuss the roles of top-level executive in an organization. 7+7. Robert Katz identifies 3 types of skills that are essential for a successful management process: technical, conceptual and human or interpersonal managerial skills. Technical skills. As the name of these skills tells us, these are skills about techniques of completion of tasks. These skills are not only for working on machines or other equipment, but also they are skills needed to perform sales, marketing and so on. For example, some individuals work in the sales department and have skills about sales that were developed through education and experience. This person is perfect for the sales manager because he has great technical skills about sales. Technical skills are most important for first-level managers, but for the top managers, these skills are not significant requirements. As we go through a hierarchy from the bottom to higher levels, the technical skills lose their signification. Conceptual skills. Conceptual skills are ability or knowledge of managers for abstract thinking. That means to see the whole through analysis and diagnose of different states and to predict the future state of the business as a whole. Why are managers need these skills? Firstly, one business has more business elements or functions as selling, marketing, finance, production. All of these business elements have different goals, even completely opposed as marketing and production. These skills help top managers to look outside from the goals of single business elements and make decisions that will satisfy overall business goals. 160. 160. Conceptual skills far more vital for top managers, little for mid-level managers, and it is not required for first-level managers. As we go from the bottom of the managerial hierarchy to the top, significance of these skills is increasing. Human or interpersonal managerial skills. Human or interpersonal managerial skills are knowledge of managers to work with people. One of the most important tasks for managers is to work with people. Without people, there is a not necessary need for management and managers. These skills will enable managers to become leaders, to motivate employees for better completion of their tasks, to make more effective use of human potential in the business. These are most important skills for managers. The three interpersonal roles are primarily concerned with interpersonal relationships. By assuming these roles, the manager also can perform informational roles, which, in turn, lead directly to the performance of decisional roles. In the figurehead role, the manager represents the organization in all matters of formality. Some examples of the figurehead role include a college dean who hands out diplomas at graduation, the shop supervisor who attends the wedding of a subordinate's daughter, and the CEO who cuts the ribbon on a new office building. The leader role defines the relationships between the manager and employees. It involves directing and coordinating the activities of subordinates. It may involve hiring, training, motivating, and encouraging employees. First-line managers, in particular, feel that effectiveness in this role is essential for successful job performance. The liaison role involves managers in interpersonal relationships outside of their area of authority. This role may involve contacts both inside and outside the organization. The top-level manager uses the liaison role to gain favors and information, while the supervisor uses it to maintain the routine flow of work. 161. Q6. Write short notes on any two of the following: control techniques, span of control, scientific management, social responsibilities of business, coordination, planning, 7+7. A and S. Span of control. Span of control is the term now used more commonly in business management, particularly human resource management. Span of control refers to the number of subordinates a supervisor has. In a hierarchical business organization of some time in the past, it was not uncommon to see average spans of 1 to 4 or even less. That is, one manager supervised 4 employees on average. In the 1980s, corporate leaders flattened many organizational structures, causing average spans to move closer to 1 to 10. That was made possible primarily by the development of inexpensive information technology. As information technology was developed capable of easing many middle manager tasks like collecting, manipulating and presenting operational information, upper managers found they could hire fewer middle managers to do more work managing more subordinates for less money. Planning. Planning, also called forethought, is the process of thinking about and organizing the activities required to achieve the desired goal. Planning involves the creation and maintenance of a plan. As such, planning is a fundamental property of intelligent behavior. This thought process is essential to the creation and refinement of a plan, or integration of it with other plans. That is, it combines forecasting of developments with the preparation of scenarios of how to react to them. An important, albeit often ignored aspect of planning, is the relationship it 162 holds with forecasting. Forecasting can be described as predicting what the future will look like, whereas planning predicts what the future should look like. 1. The counterpart to planning is spontaneous order. Section B. 7. Mr. S.K. Tosanaglo, the newly appointed chairman of LP Airlines, observed that the strategies of the company were irrelevant to the trends of the external environment. He thus decided to develop the best strategies to gain competitive advantage for the company. What are the different levels of strategies that can be framed by LP Airlines to fight the competition? 14. The focus is on analyzing, harnessing and shaping airline strategies in the global competitive context. All work is carefully tailored to individual client needs. Provide background on the global industry present to regional analysis. Discuss current and future evolvement of the industry trends. Discuss challenges and strategies impacting the industry. Discuss the new breed of airlines. Think as a business and not an airline. Cost savings. Focus governments on economic benefits the industry brings. 163. Airport privatization issues failed. User charges and accounting for money, taxes and use of proceeds. Safety, performance, environmental performance. Invest in new technology. Efficient use of infrastructure, operate aircraft effectively, discuss emissions trading. 164. 164. Roll number underscore 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 1 Dem 6101 Dem BASEM.II Main and Back Examination, 2009. Time, 3 hours. Max. Marks, 70 minutes. Passing marks: 28. The question paper is divided into 2 sections. Section A contains 6 questions, out of which the candidates is required to attempt any 4 questions. Section B contains short case study / application based 1 question, which is compulsory. All questions carry equal marks. Use of following supporting material is permitted during examination. Mentioned in form number 205 section A1. Tour managers. What do managers do? How will you reconcile management functions and managerial roles? 1. The manager is the person responsible for planning and directing the work of a group of individuals, monitoring their work, and taking corrective action when necessary. For many people, this is their first step into a management career. Managers may direct workers directly, or they may direct several supervisors who direct the workers. The manager must be familiar with the work of all the groups. 165. He/she supervises, but does not need to be the best in any or all of the areas. It is more important for the manager to know how to manage the workers than to know how to do their work well. Managerial functions. Various management scholars studied different organizations at different times. They identified the functions of management in their own ways. Henry K. Odell, the father of functional or administrative management, remarked, "To manage is to forecast and plan, to organize, to command, to coordinate and to control." Thus, K. Odell classified management functions into 5 categories as follows. To forecast and plan, to organize, to command or to give orders, to coordinate, and to control. Management, which is a vital part of an organization, can be defined as the act of running and controlling a business or similar organization, for the purpose of completing the task or activity effectively and efficiently. The 2 popular approaches to clarify management are the management functions and managerial roles. This essay will argue that the management functions model and the managerial roles model are both useful for understanding management and what managers do. For comparing these 2 model similarity and difference, their validities will be evaluated as well as their limitation. 166. 166. 2. What is bureaucracy? Differentiate between scientific approach and behavioral approach to management. Which approach is more suitable in present scenario? A and S2. A bureaucracy is a form of organization in which office holders have defined positions and usually titles. Formal rules specify the duties of the office holders. Personalistic distinctions are usually discouraged by the rules. Scientific management is often referred to as Taylorism, as it was created by F. W. Taylor in the early 20th century. The basic principle is the use of time and motion and efficiency studies to determine how fast a job can be done and monitor how fast and well the workers are doing it. The behavioral approach involves analyzing workers' patterns of behavior to try and establish which actions are the most efficient. Approach is more suitable in present scenario. Scientific management, also called Taylorism, was a theory of management that analyzed and synthesized workflows. Its main objective was improving economic efficiency, especially labor productivity. It was one of the earliest attempts to apply science to the engineering of processes and to management. Its development began with Frederick Winslow Taylor in the 1880s and 1890s within the manufacturing industries. Its peak of influence came in the 1910s. By the 1920s, it was still influential but had begun an era of competition and syncretism with opposing or complementary ideas. Although scientific management as a distinct theory or school of thought was obsolete by the 1930s, most of its themes are still important parts of industrial engineering and management today. These include analysis, synthesis, logic, rationality, empiricism, work ethic, efficiency and elimination of waste, standardization of best practices, disdain for tradition preserved merely for its own sake or merely to protect the social status of particular workers with particular skill sets, the transformation of craft production into mass production, and knowledge transfer between workers and from workers into tools, processes, and documentation. 3. Write short notes on 167. A. Strategic planning. B. Policies. C. Bounded rationality. D. A and S. Strategic planning. Clear definition of strategic planning avoids the common confusion with business planning, budgeting, and marketing strategies. A systematic, formally documented process for deciding what is the handful of key decisions that an organization, viewed as a corporate whole, must get right in order to thrive over the next few years. The process results in the production of a corporate strategic plan. B. Policies. The policy is typically described as a principle or rule to guide decisions and achieve rational outcomes. The term is not normally used to denote what is actually done. This is normally referred to as either procedure or protocol. Policies are generally adopted by the board of or senior governance body within an organization, whereas procedures or protocols would be developed and adopted by senior executive officers. Policies can assist in both subjective and objective decision-making. Policies to assist in subjective decision-making would usually assist senior management with decisions that must consider the relative merits of a number of factors before making decisions and as a result are often hard to objectively test, e.g. work-life balance policy. In contrast, policies to assist in objective decision-making are usually operational in nature and can be objectively tested, e.g. password policy. Bounded rationality. Bounded rationality is the idea that in decision-making, rationality of individuals is limited by the information they have, the cognitive limitations of their minds. 168. 168. And the finite amount of time they have to make decisions. It was proposed by Herbert Simon as an alternative basis for the mathematical modeling of decision-making. As used in economics and related disciplines, it complements rationality as optimization, which views decision-making as a fully rational process of finding an optimal choice given the information available. Another way to look at bounded rationality is that, because decision-makers lack the ability and resources to arrive at the optimal solution, they instead apply their rationality only after having greatly simplified the choices available. Thus the decision-maker is a satisficer, one seeking a satisfactory solution rather than the optimal one. Simon used the analogy of a pair of scissors, where one blade is the cognitive limitations of actual humans and the other the structures of the environment. Minds with limited cognitive resources can thus be successful by exploiting pre-existing structure and regularity in the environment. 4. Informal organization is detrimental to the interests of formal organization and, therefore, it is an evil to be nipped in the bud itself. Decentralization is not necessarily good, nor centralization necessarily bad. Decentralization is not necessarily good. 1. Lower-level managers may make decisions without fully understanding the big picture. While top-level managers typically have less detailed information about local operations than the lower-level managers, they usually have more information about the company as a whole and should have a better understanding of the company's strategy. 2. In a truly decentralized organization, there may be a lack of coordination among autonomous managers. This problem can be reduced by clearly defining the company's strategy and communicating it effectively throughout the organization. 169. 3. Lower-level managers may have objectives that are different from the objectives of the entire organization. For example, some managers may be more interested in increasing the sizes of their departments than in increasing the profits of the company. To some degree, this problem can be overcome by designing performance evaluation systems that motivate managers to make decisions that are in the best interests of the organization. In a strongly decentralized organization, it may be more difficult to effectively spread innovative ideas. Someone in one part of the organization may have a traffic idea that would benefit other parts of the organizations, but without strong central direction the idea may not be shared with and adopted by other parts of the organization. Nor centralization necessarily bad. The various advantages of centralization of authority are: 1. Reduced cost. The standardized procedure and method helps in considerably reduction of office cost. Office cost is reduced as it does not emphasize on more specialists and more departmental machines and equipment. 2. Uniformity in action. Uniformity in action is established throughout the organization because of central administrative control. The same executive supervises the work and same type of office equipments are used, which ensure uniform performance of activities. 3. Personal leadership. Centralization encourages and permits personal leadership. The introduction of personal leadership facilitates quick action, aggressive marketing and attainment of pinpointed objective or purpose. 4. Flexibility. Centralization permits flexibility and adaptability of the organization to the changed circumstances. The occasional pressure of extra-clerical work is handled with the existing staff. 5. Improved quality of work. Improved quality of work is possible because of standardized procedure, better supervision and use of improved machinery. 6. Better coordination. Centralization facilitates better coordination among various operations. Direct control and supervision are facilitated, which results in less likelihood of conflict of authority and duplication of work. 170. 175. What do you understand by leadership style? Can you explain leadership styles on a continuum? If so, how? Leadership development can follow many courses, including the acquisition of knowledge, skills and abilities that makes a person the most effective leader. There are things we think of as leadership traits, and there are also many things that effective leaders do, which we consider as leadership behaviors. Some researchers have made an effort to look at the behaviors of leaders and create models to aid in our understanding of these leadership behaviors. These models are often referred to as leadership style. They and S. Most common leadership types: autocratic leadership, bureaucratic leadership, charismatic leadership, democratic leadership or participative leadership, laissez-faire leadership, people-oriented leadership or relations-oriented leadership, servant leadership, task-oriented leadership, transactional leadership, transformational leadership. 6. Define control. Explain briefly. I concurrent control, I feed forward control, I strategic point control, and IB PERT. 171. They and S concurrent control. A control group that is observed by the investigators at the same time as the treatment group, where the two groups were not established using randomization. Feed-forward control. Feed-forward is a term describing an element or pathway within a control system which passes a controlling signal from a source in the control system's external environment, often a command signal from an external operator, to a load elsewhere in its external environment. A control system which has only feed-forward behavior responds to its control signal in a predefined way without responding to how the load reacts. It is in contrast with a system that also has feedback, which adjusts the output to take account of how it affects the load, and how. The load itself may vary unpredictably. The load is considered to belong to the external environment of the system. Strategic point control. This definition refers to the traditional review and feedback stages which constitutes the last step in the strategic management process. Normative models of the strategic management process have depicted it as including their primary stages: strategy formulation, strategy implementation, and strategy evaluation control. PERT. A PERT chart is a project management tool used to schedule, organize, and coordinate tasks within a project. PERT stands for Program Evaluation Review Technique, the methodology developed by the U.S. Navy in the 1950s to manage the Polaris submarine missile program. A similar methodology, The critical path method CPM was developed for project management in the private sector at about the same time. 172. 172. Section B Case Study. Nitish is 23 years old and will be receiving his professional PG degree in HRM from the university at the end of this semester. He had spent the past 2 SIP for Agents Company 9AIC filling in on a number of different jobs while employees took their vacations. He has received and accepted an offer to join AIC on a permanent basis upon post-graduation, as a supervisor in the Policy Renewal Department. AIC is a large insurance company. In the HQ office alone, where Nitish will work, they have 5,000 employees. The company believes strongly in the personal development of its employees. This translates into a philosophy, emanating from the top executives' offices, of trust and respect for all AIC employees. The job Nitish will be assuming requires him to direct the activities of 25 clerks. Their job required little training and are quite routine in nature. The clerk's responsibility is to ensure that renewal notices are sent on current policies, tabulate any changes in premium from a standardized table, and advise the sales division if a policy is to be cancelled as a result of non-response to renewal notices. Nitish's group is composed entirely of women, ranging from 19 to 62 years of age, with a median age of 25. For the most part, they are matriculates with little prior working experience. The salary range for policy renewal clerks is Rs. 2,500 to Rs. 3,000 per month. Nitish will be replacing a long-time AIC employee. AJ is retiring after 35 years with AIC, the last 14 spent as policy renewal supervisor. Since Nitish had spent a few weeks in AJ's group last summer SIP, he was familiar with AJ's style and also knew most of the group members. He anticipated no problems from any of his soon-to-be employees, except possibly for Jawahar. Jawahar was well into his 50s, had been a policy renewal clerk for over a dozen years, and as the grand old man, carried a 173 lot of weight with group members. Nitish concluded that without Jawahar's support, his job could prove very difficult. Nitish is determined to get his career off on the right foot. As a result, he had been doing a lot of thinking about the qualities of an effective leader. Question 1. What are the critical factors that will influence Nitish's success as a leader? Would these factors be the same if success were defined as group productivity? 2. What suggestion might you make to Nitish to help him over or control Jawahar? 3. Describe the style you think would be most effective for Nitish. 174. 174. Fill in the blanks. 1. Underscore 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 is the technique which is said to be employed or a future course of action. A&S strategy is the ability to make the best use of available resources in the process of achieving goals. A&S efficiency underscore 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 is the most suitable form of communication, but if misused, it is the most stupid form. What is it? A&S silence. Under the climate of morale, what is the result of broadening the interest of the individual to include the whole group? Underscore 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 A&S teamwork underscore 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 is considered as father of industrial psychology. A&S Hugo Munsterberg underscore 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 went into effect on January 1, 1994. A&S NAFTA is a serious difficulty requiring immediate action. A&S crisis problem meeting goals can increase underscore 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 A&S motivation. The underscore 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 transmits information. The NIZ the TIONTO outsiders. A&S spokesperson theory. X and Douglas Segreger theory. Y were developed about the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. By underscore 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 they and s. 11. The obligation of a business to meet its economic and legal responsibilities is known as underscore 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 they and s. Social obligation is the ability of the whole to equal more than the sum of its parts. They and s. Synergy is a set of interrelated and interdependent parts arranged in a manner that produces a unified whole. They and s. System 12, 13, 175, 14. Underscore 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 thinking is the effort to solve problems by generating new ways of viewing the problem and seeking novel alternatives. They and s. Divergent thinking. 15. Systems dynamically interact with their environment is known as underscore 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 underscore. They and s. Open system underscore 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 forecasting applies a set of mathematical rules to a series of past data to predict outcomes. They and s. Quantitative forecasting is an explicit statement that tells managers what they ought or ought not to do. They and s. Rule is analysis of an organization. Grave accent s. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. They and s. Swap take underscore 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 which is determining how and why performance has deviated and correcting the source of deviation. Basic corrective action underscore 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 occurs as group members attempt to assess the ground rules that will apply to a task and to group interaction. They and s. Forming underscore 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 is the recording systems which enable senders to leave messages for receivers by telephone. They and s. Voicemail underscore 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 leaders tend to make unilateral decisions, dictate work methods, limit worker knowledge about goals to just the next step to be performed, and sometimes give feedback that is punitive. They and s. Autocratic. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 176, 176. Bibliography. Name of the book, name of the author. Principles and Practices of Management, Principles and Practices of Management, Principles and Practices of Management, Principles and Practices of Management. G.S. Sudha Drive R.L. Nolaka L. Prasad R.K. Chopra and Puni Mohan. www.managementparadise.com, www.wikipedia.com